122 homicides in the last 4 years, 5 in December of 2023, 18 in the first 5 months of 2024. That's the Georgia State Prison System. I just read the 90-page Department of Justice report. Georgia prison system is the most disturbing thing I've read in a long time, and I read a lot of disturbing things. October 2020, an incarcerated man taken to the hospital by ambulance. He's got ligature neck. Someone's choked him. He's taken to the hospital. He says his cellmate tried to kill him. They put him back in the joint. A year later, he's found by medical staff. Now he's emaciated. His bone, his spine is permanently curved because he hasn't been eating. He's been tied to his bed on and off. His cellmate has been doing you-know-what to him and taking his food. So his cellmate has a tied-up, emaciated cellmate that he's... And the guy, when the medical staff found him, he was covered in human bite marks and hadn't eaten in 5 days. So the guards are not even walking around. And why is that? Well, the Georgia prison system is, it's 50% understaffed. So for every 1,000 staff it's supposed to have, it only has 500. And at the maximum security prisons, it's 70% understaffed. So it only has 1/3 of what it's, well, less than 1/3 of the staff it should. Not 1/3 short. Where there's supposed to be 100 guards, there's 30 guards. So they're not even walking around. There's multiple reports of people being held hostage in their cell for days on end. When I say their food is taken, I don't mean their commissary. Their trays. They're not eating. These are people being found emaciated. A guy waterboarded his cellmate. So he tied him up, was dunking him in water. He put soap in his you-know-what, like 5 bars. It's just crazy. This is very disturbing to read. It's a 90-page report from Department of Justice on Georgia prison system. If you want to know about this stuff, you can read it. It's been released. This is so disturbing. I just read this. So this is, how could you expect, so if someone goes into, so you commit a crime, an antisocial act, okay, society puts you in jail, okay, and you are in a place where you're not allowed to eat. Someone takes your food, or you're seeing this happen and the state does nothing about it. This truly is torture. I mean, maybe they should start letting people out. But the problem is 10,000 of Georgia's 50,000 inmates, 10,000 people in Georgia serving life or life no parole. So these aren't drug offense, like 10,000 people serving life or life no parole. 11,000 people are in maximum security. So 10,000 are serving life or life without parole. For the other 40,000 inmates, what do you think the average sentence is? The average. For the non-lifers, 26 years. Wow. So a bunch of the prison systems in the South, Mississippi, Alabama, they're not even assigning beds. It's like a third world country. You show up, you've been assigned to this prison, you on your own. Just go in the back. You're on your own. No wonder everyone joins a gang. And if you join a gang in prison and it's like truly life or death, like you won't get food, imagine the bonds that you build when you get out. Now you've been in the worst conditions you could be in. That's like being in a prisoner of war camp. Why would you get out and obey the law? You couldn't possibly have any respect for the law. Just reading this document. Now, of course, as somebody that studies crime, I know about the corruption of many levels of government, so I already have think somewhat dubiously about the state, but to read this, like you can't have any respect for the state of Georgia. Anyone involved in this, listen, anyone watching this, you work for the Georgia prisons, if you've been accepting a paycheck, you should have been on your own Facebook. You should have called the local news and said, this is crazy. A video released, incarcerated man sitting on the floor with his hands tied behind his back before a group of men. So he's tied up. People are attacking him. They're putting it on their phone, uploading it. A guy was found. This is in 2023 at Smith Prison. A guy found, coroner noted his body decomposed. He'd been dead for 2 to 3 days. Again, the guards aren't even walking around and looking in the cells. Gang fight at the classification unit, January 2023. 8 people stabbed, one a broken ankle from jumping from the upper level deck in an effort to escape. Then hours later, they found another guy laying somewhere stabbed. 4 nights later, 4 more hit up. One of the victims described as attacker involved as attack. 2 masked men attacked him, one with the sword that he used to hit the victim while demanding his Cash App account. So that's another, if you haven't been to jail or prison lately, they all got phones, and they're like, people are in there, the normal, someone brought back hamburgers from the kitchen. Buy it on Cash App. Of course, all the D-rugs in there, buy it on Cash App. And the story I did not too long ago about prison stuff, or maybe it was about meth. Guy said the federal prison he got out of some medium security I'd never even heard of. There's so many federal prisons now. He said you would walk down the aisle. It was like being on one of those streets, like streets in a big city where drugs are like, this guy got, so when you walk past, rocks, someone else got meth, someone else got fentanyl, Said you walk around a prison, everyone's just out by themselves. I got this, I got that, got that. Said drugs are cheaper in the prison than on the street. They caught a guy throwing a football of 4 pounds of METH over the fence. Or they didn't catch him, actually. They just, after the fact, someone looked at the footage and saw it. Wow. Oh. And the guards, not only are they not walking around, at one prison, an unruly inmate was throwing food and water outside of a cell. Now, I get it. The guards get mad, but that's what you signed up for that job. They locked his, those flaps and the maximum security where they let it down and they push your food tray in. They locked it. And they didn't bring him water for a week. The guy died of dehydration. That's truly barbaric torture on the Georgia taxpayer dime. Federal government needs to take over the prison system, but this is indicative of what I'm seeing all through society. So the falling apart of the various bureaucracies that make society work. Prisons are a big bureaucracy, but think about when you go to the restaurant and the girl can't work the credit card machine. The cook left. Oh, the cook gone. Y'all got to wait an hour for your food. You call Verizon and no one can help you. But unfortunately, it's sad for people in prison. This is a whole, this is worse than reading about tortures in a third world country. Having your cellmate tie you up and take your food. And it seems like this kidnapping thing is common, extorting people on their Cash App. Better join a gang. I can't even show footage, but for those of you interested, Google Georgia prison knife or something. Guys are walking around the yard. They're wearing a chain, and a medallion is a big shank. They're just walking around with a shank. They making rap videos. 3 guys, they got shanks swinging off of their neck. It's like Haiti. Worse. It's like Haiti. Worse. I want to read some of this stuff. Okay. Now for the organized crime part. February 20. I did a couple Georgia prison stories about the drones, about the kid who got put on the leash and then got out and did another murder. Okay, February 2023, the warden of Smith State Prison, he's hit with the RICO, the warden, for being involved with inmates and bringing in drugs and all kind of other stuff. So the inmate that was in that RICO with the warden, he's charged with 2 homicides out in the community. One of them was a guard that had been part of the ring and messed up some money or something. They had her murked on the outs. And he directed an M for hire against somebody in the house where they went in the wrong home and killed some old lady. September 2023, Thomas White, a person incarcerated by Georgia Department of Corrections, pled guilty to multiple criminal counts related to his involvement in a drive-by shooting in Marietta. So he directed a drive-by that shot up a couple of apartment buildings. I guess nobody died from his prison cell. November 2023, 23 individuals, including several incarcerated in 6 different Georgia prisons, sweeping federal indictment, violence, shootings on the street. Oh, this might be the Ghostface gangsters, those white guys. The white prison gang of Georgia, the Ghostface gangsters. They had a huge RICO that involved homicide inside the pens, on the streets, all the normal stuff. The drone thing is crazy. Go, I'll put a link to my drone story. Separate federal trial the same month, a man incarcerated in Telford State Prison got a life prison term for trafficking into the prison. So the Department of Justice said the state of Georgia failed to protect those incarcerated from physical violence, severe understaffing, gangs allowed to control and influence life in prison. Well, who else is going to control and influence it? You don't have guards? What do you think? People just going to let this stuff? Of course, the gangs. Gangs are the simplest organization of humans, right? They're physical, a small group of physically dominant males. A bunch of other people cling on to them and they just protect themselves and sometimes attack others. That's like a very simple form of social organization. And as society falls apart, that's why we're seeing more gangs. Society's getting simpler on the bottom, so you're having simpler social organizations. Frightening stuff. As concerned citizens, you should read the report. If you got family members in any prison system, remember to check on them. Don't just put money on their books. Ask them what's going on. If you don't hear from them, check on them. Because just in jail and prison, just like in life, the squeaky wheel gets the grease. Don't let your friends and family, it's not enough to just shout them out, send them a letter from time to time. You got to ask them how they're doing. Hey, has anybody heard from Uncle Ronnie in the last 2 months, week? But unfortunately, probably the people that a lot of this stuff is happening to, well, some of them have people care about them because their families get interviewed in the paper, but I don't know. Check on your people in prison. But yeah, that's what's going on in the Georgia State Prison. I think Mississippi, Alabama, similar problems. At least their facilities are totally falling apart. But boy, Georgia, 122 murders in the last 4 years between, I don't know, 2005 to 2015. They never had more than 9 homicides. So this is way out of the norm. And I mean, are you going to send all these YSL people into this? Like, this is cruel or whoever. But I'm just saying, with this report, if you're a lawyer at a sentencing in Georgia and your client's looking at state time, you can make the claim, well, you can't send them to Georgia prison. That's cruel and unusual punishment. Oh, for anyone wondering about the slave artwork, you people are crazy that said that. This is Dawood Shabazz is the artist, Detroit artist. Commentary on prison, in fact. There's a prisoner. There's his family trying to see him. So, yeah. Department of Justice report, Georgia State prisons. Read it. Al Prophet, American Dope.